It's a reminder that teaching, but also life, and I think all of these things are teaching and life mixed in together, are made up of both rainy days and sunny days. And even through the toughest moments, we often see the greatest growth, and this is where the discoveries happen with our students in our classroom.
There is just something so powerful in kids just being able to generate their own numbers. It's contagious in a way. Like they just want to keep on seeing what's the next number to come up. Can I calculate it? Can I work it out? Just that immediate gratification when they're like, yeah, I know this answer. I've solved it. I've nearly got my 4 counters in a row, or I've nearly answered that question 4 times and I've made 4 little towers on top of the answer. And I guarantee if you put a little pile near the front of your classroom or somewhere where parents can see, a parent is going to pick them up because they're going to go, oh my God, I loved these when I was a kid. I want to do it.
They do. Everyone loves them.
Rainbow Sky Creations acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we record this podcast on, the Darrell and Woodjuk Noongar people. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Welcome back to Rainbow Skies for Teachers, everybody.
We're so glad you stopped by and want to have a listen to what we're going to chat about today.
Yeah, we're so glad you stopped by.
Well, it's a Monday or a Tuesday or whatever day of the week you are listening, and we like to think we add a bit of pep into your step when you have a listen to our podcast and give you some information that's going to help you become the best teacher you can be, but also you have the best life that you can outside of teaching, a bit of yin and yang balance. We try to achieve it. A
bit like us, really.
Yeah, that's it. You're the yin, I'm the yang, or whichever way.
Or vice versa. Actually, speaking of positivity, this morning I was working on a carousel for Instagram and I asked you and I asked Yaka, one of our beautiful team members, what Rainbows Ahead means to you guys. And
yes.
You wrote back and told me what it meant to you, and then I had my little ideas and I put it all together. And it is so uplifting. Do you want to hear what some of the things were that I wrote?
Please.
Well, that we wrote and I collated, I should really say. Gosh, we're having a great start to the podcast, everybody.
Be our daily dose of goodness.
Okay, so you've probably heard us. We say it at the end of every podcast episode. So as potty listeners, you would already be up to our catchphrase, there are rainbows ahead, and
together we're unstoppable.
But this is what we mean by saying there are rainbows ahead. It's a reminder that teaching, but also life, and I think all of these things are teaching and life mixed in together, are made up of both rainy days and sunny days. And even through the toughest moments, we often see the greatest growth, and this is where the discoveries happen with our students in our classroom. It's also about the magical rainbow moments that remind us why we do what we do as teachers, and not any person can be a teacher, can they?
No.
It takes
We've learned.
A pretty cool person to be a teacher, a pretty empathetic,
flexible.
Dedicated. Yes, flexible. There's so many more things that Rainbows Ahead means, but it's about in that mundane and repetitive nature of life and teaching, there are always moments that surprise us, a bit like the rainbow after the storm.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a rainbow? Who doesn't stop and pause for a moment when they see a rainbow?
We saw a double rainbow yesterday and it was so exciting.
Wow.
Yes. Okay, so we're not here just to talk about rainbows.
No, we are here to be your little boost of positivity, but also give you some ideas on what you could incorporate, this one particularly, into a math lesson. And if you haven't realised yet, we love talking about things to do with numbers and math.
We do. Because we want math to be fun. Like every kid deserves to enjoy math, but you as a teacher deserve to enjoy teaching it too. Now, the reason we're talking about doubles is because that's something that people, well, not just people, teachers have been coming to our website and searching for non-stop recently.
Maybe they've got a 5-year-old at home like me who's like, hey, Mum, what's double 3? Let me tell you.
I know. Isn't it annoying when kids go, what's double 1? What's double 2? And then you give them the answer 4. What's double 4? 8. What's double 8? 16. And they would just go on and on forever.
Yes. My daughter's favorite question for a while was like, what is the biggest number in the world? And my husband's just like, you really want to go there, Lena? Come on. We can go there. Anyway, we started talking about the infinity symbol and so forth. But then she's like, what number can you count to and how long would it take you to count to that number? And I'm like, my head just exploded. Sorry.
Good question.
Yes.
A little bit more difficult than doubles, though.
That is true. And so you might be wondering why? Why would we dedicate a whole blog post to doubles? Well, it's because it is one of those really high impact number skills that students can develop in the early years. It is going to put them in great stead for their mathematical thinking and strategizing as they move through their years learning about maths and numbers. So we all know that recalling doubles facts is so important. And why? Because it reduces the need to count. Nobody wants to be sitting there using their fingers and toes to count heaps of numbers when they could use a double fact to speed up the process.
Exactly. Now, disclaimer, like all podcast episodes, we have a disclaimer. We're talking about doubles, but we really encourage you that if you're teaching doubles, teach halving at the same time together.
Yeah.
The two skills go hand in hand.
It's like multiplication and division, addition and subtraction, yin and yang.
Day and night. We're really
How many
going
opposites?
off the rails, aren't we?
We are. So the reason we want to teach, say, for example, these doubling skills as well, is that it's going to free up your students' working memory. So they're going to be able to solve more complex problems. So once you see those kids who are grasping that skill of doubling and halving, that they're going to be able to apply it to more complex problems, to multiple step problems. I see it with my daughter. She's getting quicker, she's getting speedier. And when I pose a question, poor child living with two ex-teacher parents, I pose a question that gets her to challenge that thinking of doubling and the halving. You can see her getting quicker at it the more that she practices it.
Yeah. So we're going to add a little bit of sparkle and fun to doubling and halving today. We're not going to be talking about the worksheet with a million different questions on it. We're going to really share some ways that your learners in grade 1 and 2 can really enjoy doubling. Even grade 3, I think, could benefit from some of these activities if they're struggling with that mental fluency. So hit us up, Alicia. The first one's a craft. I love a math craft. I feel like we should do a whole podcast episode on math crafts.
Yes, let us know if you would give us 2 thumbs up, or as my other daughter says, 10 thumbs up with her 10 fingers. I feel like you should be talking about this one because this was your brainchild. Ashley came up with this great craft idea, probably inspired by doing some activities with her small humans at her home, of a ladybug craft, which is a hands-on doubling centre activity where the students create their own ladybug by placing dots on one wing and then doubling them on the other side. Simple, but yet highly effective.
Yes, and the reason I love this is you can make your ladybug, okay? So that's fun. Kids love a craft. Teachers love a craft. But then you can actually have it and use it as a hands-on resource. So you get your little black dots and you could do a guided lesson where you're saying, okay, everyone, put 3 dots on one side. Now let's double it. Or put 10 dots on each wing. Now let's take one wing away and we're going to halve that number. So you're really like showing the doubling and halving in action. And then at the very end, you can give your kids a little bit of autonomy and say, okay, you can create your ladybug with however many dots on each side, but make sure that they are double. And then write a little number sentence to go with it. And then, bam, they're up on the classroom wall and they look great.
Yeah, absolutely. You can have the algorithm, you got the visual with the dots, and then you've got the words where you could have double 4 equals 8. And you could have your storytellers who put a little story together about the 4 dots on the wing.
Exactly. You could extend your kids to create a story about the craft. And I think, Alicia, that you're kind of on the story bandwagon at the moment with math, but it's a really great way to reflect and show their learning.
Absolutely. And I think as well, you're going to have kids who are going to be like, I'm going to make a ladybug family. And before you know it, you've got kids who have made like 3 ladybugs, or like a group of kids who've made 10 ladybugs, and they're all like got different doubles, or they might start to see a pattern. And I think sometimes if you're open to just a bit of craft messiness and letting the kids run with you've got half hour of that lesson where you just let them actually run with it, they might actually surprise you. And I think sometimes a really amazing thinking and consolidation for students is when they have some autonomy to get a bit creative with it and make mistakes in the process. There's going to be some kids who aren't going to do the right number of circles. And then it's not the teacher who's probably going to step in and correct them. It's going to be probably a peer who's going to come over and go, hang on a second, something's not right with your ladybug. And they work it out together. I'm talking your kindy kids in my neck of the woods, your pre-primary kids, year 1s, 2s. You might think of it as a simplistic activity, but it can become quite sophisticated.
it can become quite sophisticated. And that's why I really love not getting them to make the ladybug, but not gluing down the dots to start with. Get them to experiment and investigate, because that's how they're going to learn. And by not gluing anything down to start with too, they can make those mistakes. And we want to create environments where it's safe for them to make mistakes, explore and see what works.
Absolutely. Tell us about the next activity, Ash.
The next activity is a spot the number. This is a brainchild of Alicia's. I actually remember the day that you came up with this and you were like, oh my gosh, I've come up with this activity. It's called Spot the Number. And I thought, okay, how's this going to go? Spot the number. Doesn't sound too complex, but it actually is. It layers complexity with different skills. So let me explain it to you. It's a doubling game. So kids have cards. I should actually just say the ladybug activity, we've got a template for you that you can use to just print and go if you're time poor, but you don't need the template to create that activity. You could give everyone just a printout of a ladybug and off you go, you know. This particular idea is something that you probably will need our template for. So we'll make sure all the activities that we mention will be linked in the show notes.
Yep.
Okay, so they pick out a card. It might be 5 plus 5 or 2 plus 2. Then on the game board, they have to find the answer to that question. Now, this is where the complexity and the number sense comes in, because the game board has got all different numbers represented in different ways. So we've got numbers represented as dominoes, as fingers, as tally marks, on a tens frame, as MAB ones. And it's just a really great way for them to work out the answer and then go and transfer that information to their number skills. We also have other cards that they can pull out. So it might be 5 plus 5, or it might say double 5. And then, of course, in this package, we've got halving examples as well. So it might be, we wouldn't be halving 5, but it might be saying halve 10. And then they need to find the answer of what half of 10 is.
Yeah. So it's the actual finding the number as well is the mathematicalness of it. My youngest daughter's favourite word for a while was sabotizing. Count the numbers quick. So this game is going to get the kids sabotizing really well. So even if their sabotizing skills aren't great, this is going to build on that skill as well. It's one of those games that you kind of go, like Ashley did when I proposed this idea. But then when you start playing it, even when I go to play the times table one, I'm like, where the heck is that answer? I can't find it. And you're really having to apply all your skills and eliminate answers that aren't definitely the correct one. So it's a fun one. I'm going to actually pull it out for my daughter. Now I
am too. Now that we've spoken about it, I was like, this is going to be a great game for this afternoon.
Yeah.
And you can play it with all age groups too. Like your 4-year-old could play this game if you help her with the answers, and then she's just using her number sense skills to find it on the board. But then I'm also thinking my older kids, it would be great for them to play as well as a part of a team.
Yeah, absolutely. So spot the number. Go check it out. We recommend.
Spot the number, a winner. Okay, the next one is flip it and double. We're obsessed with flip it games.
Well, that's because teachers are obsessed with it. If these were stocked on little shelves, every week they're flying off the shelf, these flip it games. So, yes, we have a multiplication version, but we're talking about doubles here. So we've created a flip it and double version. So template provided. Here we've got 2 numbers. The one is locked in the tens place, and then you could use Uno cards or you can use playing cards, and the one's number isn't locked in. So that's the number they're changing. So if they flip a 1 and a 3, so they got the 1, 3, 13, they have to find double 13, which is 26. So then on the sides, they're filling in the answers. So we've got different templates of this where we've locked in the different 10. So like doubling 24, doubling 36. It ends up getting to high numbers, but also it allows students, remember how we talked about we're wanting to build on their ability to calculate quickly to alleviate the memory that they need and solve more complex problems. So having this sort of template and game and activity is allowing them to see the patterns with maths and becoming better at calculating what they might have perceived as a tricky calculation, but actually they know the pattern with their doubling skills or halving skills to be able to calculate it.
Yes. We also have flip it and halve as well. So again, you can be playing these games together. I think any game where it can be super simple. For this game, some counters and some playing cards, and off you go. If you don't have our templates, our special template, You can make them yourself, or you could get a pack of cards and say, okay, kids, we're doubling numbers. Play with a partner. Check each other's answers. Like, it can be really simple.
Yes, there is just something so powerful in kids just being able to generate their own numbers. It's contagious in a way. Like, they just want to keep on seeing, like, what's the next number to come up? Can I calculate it? Can I work it out? Just that immediate gratification when they're like, yeah, I know this answer. I've solved it. I've nearly got my 4 counters in a row, or I've nearly answered that question 4 times and I've made 4 little towers on top of the answer. Once again, simple but effective. A new motto at Rainbow Sky, simple but effective.
Yes. I've had my sister staying with me, as you know, and as our wonderful followers on Instagram also know. And she's got a child in grade 1, but she's a little bit older for her year and she's very clever. Anyway, the first thing she says to me is, Auntie Ash, can you please get out some of your games? And I'm like, my heart is singing. Of course I can. So down we go to my studio. I get out a fresh pack of Uno cards. I get out some of our brand new Uno games, version 4, the 1-2 pack. And I show her some of the activities and she chooses 3. And one of them was the flip it and double. And at first, she sat down with the flip it and double and she flipped over the card and she was like, oh, and she just guessed. I think it might have been double 5. And she guessed. She's like, oh, 9? My sister's there going, no, work it out, count it. Anyway, we spoke a little bit about doubles and how it's the same number twice and how could we get there. Anyway, she's like, okay, she gets it. Double 5 is 10. Then she flipped over the next one, double 9, much harder. But she works it out using the strategy we spoke about and she said 18. Then she goes on to the next one and the next one. Then double 9 comes up again. And she said, oh, that's easy. I remember. It's 18. Now, obviously, this child has a great working memory. But just playing that simple game, it clicked with her. And she was only playing it for a couple of minutes. Now, I bet if I called her tomorrow and said, hey, Lucy, what's double 9? She'd be able to tell me 18.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the great things with these games.
Yes. I think even just touching on that simplicity of saying, you know, we're like, oh, why do we teach kids about odd and even numbers? And it's like when you're doing doubles, you're saying to the kids, if you're doubling 2 even numbers, you're always going to get an even number. And if you're doubling 2 odd numbers, you're always going to get an even number. Immediately, you know that you're not on the right path if your answer is an odd number. Like, incorrect, you can self-reflect, self-evaluate right then and go, actually, that's not right. It should be an even number. Is it either side of that number that I have chosen? Yeah, love a game.
It's all the little strategies that add up, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. So our next one is a favourite.
I know. We were talking about this nonstop before we started recording this podcast episode. Alicia's laughing her head off.
I'm just like, my kids have been playing chatterboxes since they were like 3 years old or, 2 and 3 years old. Chatterboxes are a popular thing in my household, as they are in Ash's household. So why not utilise this love the kids have for chatterboxes, the tactileness of it? Even just that, having how to operate a chatterbox is a challenge in itself. I was helping my 4-year-old again use her chatterbox this week. And we've created double and halving chatterboxes. The great thing is the students, they're doing the work, my teacher friends. They're cutting, they're folding, they're building. You're there helping them. And then they use that to practice their doubling and halving skills. They choose which little person they want. Then they choose a number to double, so say double 7, and then they have the answer underneath. So immediately they're getting feedback on if they're on the right track.
Yes, and that's self-correction.
Oh, and it's just the perfect thing that they can pop in their pocket, in their bag and take home that day. Or you have some extra printables and they can just take one on the way out. And I guarantee if you put a little pile near the front of your classroom or somewhere where parents can see, a parent is going to pick them up because they're going to go, oh my God, I loved these when I was a kid. Yes. I want to do it.
They do. Everyone loves them. You see a good old-fashioned chatterbox. My kids, we went to Japan last school holidays and they took a whole pile of chatterboxes to make on the plane. They were testing everyone that walked past.
So doubling and halving are just a really simple way of once your students have got the concept of doubling, you've taught that well in your class, this is a perfect way to consolidate that skill, to work on their muscle memory of remembering doubling and halving and the pattern behind it, to become super skilled mathematicians. What's our next one?
Good one. Okay, so the next one is a little more niche. And when we say that, it's because you need to have specific resources. And also, it's a little bit more of a time commitment for teachers. It is a doubles guess who game. Now, this is what happens. We've created the template for you, so you don't need to do any of the thinking, but you use the guess who or who is it game boards. And we really recommend that you go and get these from your local thrift store, or in Australia, you can get cheap versions at Kmart. And instead of guess who, as in they're guessing who it is on their game boards, they have to answer questions. So they pull out a card from the deck, and it might be double 8. The other person has to double 8 and then put the answer down on their board. So they're flicking the answer down. They might be multiple. So the answer's 16. They might have 3 16s they need to put down. The next person double 10, 20. You put that down. And then the person who has all their pieces put down is the loser, and the one with some still standing is the winner. As I said, it involves cutting. It might involve a little bit of Netflix Sunday night, putting it together. But it is one of those games that you could have just stacked away and pull it out every now and then, and kids could play it.
Yes, that's how I had it set up in my classroom. So I had bought a handful, like about 5 sets, cheapy sets of Guess Who. And then I made different versions for each one. So there was like multiplication 2, multiplication 8, depending on what my kids were practicing. Then I'd have doubling or number facts. You just have different versions. So it does mean the whole class can't play it at the same time, but it creates the novelty of kids going, oh, I want to play with that one. And once they know the system and the rules, it's easy. It's one that you can have on the shelves that they can go do themselves. I guess like when kids know the original way to play Guess Who with the people, they can do it without you. So once you've taught and modelled, off you go. That's you sorted for the term, a game done and dusted that they will love to play.
A little tip, print on thicker card, not paper, because if you print on paper, they kind of tend to fly out.
Yes, and no laminated kneading. No, print on that thicker card, you pop it in, and even the answer cards, the question cards will last a long time on the thick card.
Yeah, they will. All right, back to a more simple idea where very little cutting and organising required.
Print. And in my house, we just insert it into a display folder. So we have a bunch of games that my kids can choose from, and just find your little pack of cards, whatever it is. So these are doubling and halving card and, I should say, dice games. So we've got a simple example here where the students have the answer. They've got a 4x6 grid down the bottom with doubling answers, and they're flipping over cards. So they flip over a 4, they cover up the answer, which is 8. They flip over a 5, they're covering a 10. They flip over a 9, they're covering an 18. So this can be an independent activity. It can be a pair activity. Then we've got it set up as well for halving. So obviously the templates are put in place to get the students applying the understanding of doubling to their halving skills. So I guess it's like you're teaching kids, whenever you're doubling, the number is always getting bigger. And whenever you're halving, the number is always getting smaller. Just really simple little things that they recall and can apply to these games.
Yeah, same with dice. They can be rolling one die or multiple dice, finding the number and then doubling it or halving it.
Yeah, look, even a challenge in itself, just getting 3 dice and like doubling that number, it's like... I feel like I need to brush up on my doubling skills of 3-digit numbers.
Yes. Well, I didn't actually think of that. I thought you would be adding the number of each dice. So, like, say you get 6, 6, and 6, it would be 18, and then you'll be doubling 18. But how you were looking at it is you'd have the 3 dice numbers, and then that makes a 3-digit number, and you're doubling it.
Yeah, you could do it either way.
Yes. Well, that's a good differentiation for that kid that really needs the extension. That would be a great challenge.
Yeah, so much so I had a moment where I was like, maybe I'll do that this afternoon. I've got a spare 5 minutes and just be like, come on, kids, let's see how good your mum and dad are at counting. Competition date night.
Well, Alicia's husband is a retired maths teacher, so I feel like you're setting yourself up to lose, which we shouldn't do.
No. That's the thing when you live with a maths teacher. It's all about patterns at our household and patterns and noticing continual events that are happening and how we can fix things. It goes way beyond just numbers, my friends.
I love it. Okay, the next one is a digital game because we know that teachers like to incorporate some sort of technology into maths groups, and it's a really good way to incorporate technology without it just taking over your classroom. We've talked about technology and things before, and there's positives and there's negatives, but we've created a whole heap of digital games where kids can practice doubling, halving, using spinners.
And look, I even just loved digital activities for my lesson warm-ups or my lesson finish-uppers. That game I explained before with the cards, we've got the same with the spinner. And what I would do is I'd split my class into two groups, Group A, Group B, and then they line up and they take turns. So one person from Group A goes or one person from Group B goes. Or we have a little competition to see how many doubles can this team complete in a minute and a half. And that whole team goes while the other team's watching and they're calculating at the same time. And then you swap it and Team B, how many can you get done? And the winning team is the one that gets the most questions in 1 minute. It's everybody working together, but has a little bit of competition, which I feel is a little part of the secret sauce you sometimes need.
Absolutely. You could also use it as a class warm-up too, couldn't you? Like, okay, we're going to maths today. We've been working on doubling and halving. We're going to move on to something else, but let's just refresh our memories.
Yeah, and even if each kid's got a whiteboard, you do the spinner and then they have to write the answer down, flip it up.
Yeah.
And then a kid's got the special job of moving the counter, or that's your job, to where the answer is. So, yeah, we're definitely not anti-digital, but you can definitely leverage it to make the fun engagement side of things and get the kids on board.
Absolutely.
What do they call it? A provocation to lure them in and go, we're going to work on doubling. And they're like, ooh.
Magic teaching stuff.
That's it. And then there was one more idea.
One more idea. And this comes down to our speedy number booklet. So if you're looking, you've done these activities, you've taught it, you've had groups, you've had centres, you've done all the things, and you're looking just to build that fluency piece and then track progress, then this is a really powerful option to use. So it gives students that repeated practicing of doubling and halving them and help them move towards that automaticity.
Automaticity. Automaticity, yes.
I think I was trying to say that on a live the other day and I really mucked it up, and you can't edit a live anyway.
Keeping it real. We definitely know you weren't AI.
Recall. Yes, absolutely. You can tell I'm not AI because I can't say that word. So basically the speedy numbers, we've got different booklets, but you have the booklets. It might be double facts up to 10, double facts up to 20. There's a whole heap of different questions. You can time your kids. You can get them to time themselves. You can take the time away. It adds too much pressure. You can really adapt it according to what your students need.
Yes. We've actually got a free version of this, which we'll link in the show notes. So if you want to get a free copy and give it a go, my year 2s and year 3s used to love these speedy number booklets. I actually would have them sometimes when they would start in the morning. So the kids who came to school when the doors opened a bit earlier, they would just go get their booklet. Some of my kids, they knew they'd get a little iPad or a little sand timer and they would like flip it over because, some kids really loved that. They were trying to beat their score from the previous day. And it just became a tool that the students knew how to run themselves, and they would come up and celebrate when they had their wins, or they'll be like, oh, I kept on getting this question wrong last week, but now I'm getting it right. And you'd, high five and celebrate. It's just a really simple and effective way to get students practicing a skill and becoming more fluid in their mental maths abilities.
Yeah. And they get to see how they're going along the way because they've got a little tracker.
Yeah.
So they get to see, right, I'm making improvements, and that builds the confidence, and then it builds the motivation, and then you're kind of on a moving train then. It's great.
Yeah. And then they're like, what's the next booklet? I finished this one. Need harder questions, miss. You're like, oh my gosh. Can't keep up.
It's amazing.
So there you have it. We have shared with you a collection of double activities. So we'll very quickly recap the ones that we have shared. Go, Ash.
All right, we've got doubling ladybugs craft, spot the number, doubles addition, flip it and double because we love ourselves a flip it game, doubling and halving chatterboxes, perfect for fast finishes, a double fluency game using Guess Who, doubling and halving card and dice games, creating a digital game with doubling and halving, and then finally our speedy number booklets for doubling and halving, which you can get a free copy of, which will be linked in the show notes.
So any amount of time that you put into your classroom teaching your students how to become superstars at doubling and halving is going to benefit them tenfold in their number skills. So it is not a skill that will go unwasted. I am still using it very hard in my 40s, trying to work with my children. All that skill and practice I made as a little kid and then as a teacher is benefiting me tenfold. So one, And doubles are just fun because the answers are always even numbers. And I love even numbers.
Same. I'm an even numbers gal. All right.
Yep.
On that note, we are going to wrap this up. There are rainbows ahead, my friends.
And together, we're unstoppable. See you next time. Thanks for choosing to listen to Rainbow Skies for Teachers, the go-to show dedicated to teachers who want to make a big difference in education.
If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a 5-star review or share the episode with a friend. Because together, we're
Unstoppable.